What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Fitment Industries Garage, and we are here today with yet another episode of What Wheels Fit, because there's just a ton of cars out there and people put wheels on a ton of cars, so that's what we're here for. So we go over all different types of wheels, tires, and suspension setups for these different vehicles to help you guys out in your journey to find a new setup, or maybe your first setup for your car. I'm Jels from Fitment Industries, and today, since we covered the last time we covered the Cobalt SS in a recent episode, we thought it would only be right to go over the main rival, the US domestic front wheel drive, turbocharged, angry sounding, bubble looking thing, the Neon SRT-4. Before we go ahead and get right into it, don't forget to subscribe and check out some of the other videos that we have right here on the Fitment Industries Garage channel. And of course, once you're all done with that and know what wheels, tires, and suspension are gonna fit your Neon SRT-4, don't forget to hit up fitmentindustries.com afterwards. Check out all the goodies that we have over there. We try to make this as simple and as straightforward as we can. Picking out wheels for your car is a big deal and definitely something you're gonna wanna get right the first time. So what we're gonna do is take a look at some of the Neons sitting in our fitment gallery right now over at fitmentindustries.com and go over in detail what they are running for wheels, tires, and suspension for both, model and size and tire size and suspension setup and rubbing and trimming and all that kind of stuff. We're going to break these cars up into a few different categories determined by their type of fitment and the modifications needed to do so. So here we go. First things first, these cars are going to run a 5x100 bolt pattern. That's the first thing that you always need to know. Next, we have a general fitment range of these cars that gives us anywhere between 16 and 18 inches in diameter for the wheel and a width running anywhere from about 6 to 8 inches and an offset landing about plus 35 to plus 45. Now that is a pretty good area to start with. Now that's the average of what we see most people running. However, it doesn't really dial down, what that fitment is gonna look like. So that's what we're gonna do here. So let's go ahead and get into our first car here, which is gonna start off pretty mild to give some options and examples for those looking for a good, solid, dailyable setup that isn't going to take away any of the drivability. So here we go. A 2005 Dodge Neon SRT-4 with some niche Targa wheels. Now these are a 17x8 with a plus 40 offset, and these are wrapped in some Michelin Pilot Sport tires, 245/40 for the size, and then sitting on some KW coilovers. So definitely quite the solid setup on this car, but this does give us a nearly flush fitment without the requirement of any fender rolling and doesn't cause any rubbing issues. Next up, we have another 2005, this time with some Avant-Garde M310s with a size of 18x8 plus 30. So going up in diameter and getting a little bit more aggressive with the offset. Now this is actually one of our customer service people, Claire's old Neon. Now wrapped in a 225/40 BF Goodrich tire and then sitting on some BC Racing coilovers. This does rub a little bit, but it could be fixed with, with some fender rolling or maybe, raise the coils a little bit, but just roll your fenders. Don't raise it, just roll the fenders. From there, we really see people get pretty aggressive with their fitment on these cars, which typically requires fender rolling at the very minimum to get the wheels to fit, but that's the game that we play. We also see a ton of people running XXR wheels as they are an extremely popular choice for these cars. And XXR does this thing where they don't go from an 8-inch wheel to 8.5 or an 8.5 to a 9.5. They go from an 8 to an 8.25 to 8.5 to 8.75 to a 9.5 to a 9.25. It's just weird. They're the only company I've ever seen do that. But since they are a popular wheel choice for these cars, we have to talk about it. Like this 2005, for example, some XXR 527s in a size of 17x8.25 with a plus 25 offset. Now there's a 225/45 for the size on the Continental tire and then sitting on some Raceland coilovers. Fenders, of course, are rolled, but that's really about it. Same goes for the 18-inch wheels too. However, we usually see the offset a little less aggressive, around a plus 35 or so. Moving on, we take a look at this 2004 with some Rotiform BLQs, and this is an 18x8.5 plus 35 offset with a 215/35 tire, and then sitting on some tin coilovers. Now, there's no fender rolling or rubbing issues listed. However, it is a pretty small tire on this car. So if you're looking to go with something bigger, I would probably, have to expect that the fenders would have to be rolled. A good example of that would be this 2004 with some Adhan DSO6s, 18x8.5 plus 35 again, but this time with a 225/40 Firestone tire. Now this is sitting on some BC Racing coilovers to get that drop in ride height, and we were looking at rolled fenders here like I would have imagined, and even removed fender liners. Now getting into some setups that aren't for, I guess, the faint of heart, you could call it. These 100% are going to require modifications to get the wheels and tires to fit, but for a lot of people, the payout's worth it, all right? Starting with this red 2004 with some GNC 001 Wheels, we have a 17x9 plus 20 offset with a Nitto Neogen 215/40 tire, and then on some coilovers. Fenders are rolled and pulled. Next, we have a 2003 with some water-cooled Industries MD1s. Now these are an 18x9.5 plus 35 offset, 215/35 for the hand-cooked tire, and then sitting on some Airlift Performance air suspension, giving us our first look at an SRT-4 on air for the day. Quick note on this one is that you probably could go wider or with a more aggressive offset, as there is a 10mm spacer in the front and a 20mm spacer in the rear. Getting a little bit wider, we get to this 2004 with some ESR SR02s, 18x9.5 with a plus 35 offset wrapped in a 225/40 Federal tire, and then sitting on some Eibach lowering springs. And then to close out the day, we are going to end with this 2004 with some Miro STP1 wheels. Now these are 17x10 with a plus 25 offset, 205/40, so a hell of a stretch on these tires, and then sitting on some D2 Racing air suspension. And even though this is the widest and most aggressive setup of the day, they still are running a 15mm spacer all around. So, you know, do the math and, you know, that offset gets pretty aggressive. The fenders are rolled and pulled, as you would expect. But that's gonna wrap it up for today. Hopefully this helped you guys out in your journey to find some new wheels, tires, suspension for your Dodge Neon SRT-4. Now, if you have another car that you're looking for, don't forget to check out all the other videos we have as well. But other than that, wheels, tires, suspension, fitmentindustries.com. If you want to check out more Dodge Neons to take a look at, just hop on over to the gallery. That's where we pulled all these cars from. Free to look at, all free information. Go check it out. Find out what fits your car, all that sort of good stuff. I'm Gels. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you later. Peace.